Today on Bully Talk with Zeb, I got my man Mr. Dave Wilson in the house. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, man. It's fall, it's right after Nationals, almost Christmas time. Actually, it's winter now, ain't it? But yeah, no, it feels like fall out here. But yeah, I'm doing good, man.
Oh, that's good, man. We're going to jump into it, man. Right after Nationals, man, I'm going to jump right into the big controversy, man. Of course, you know, my man Terrell, D-Line Hall of Fame, a.k.a. Rick James, you know, he owes no cut cards on how he feel about certain things. And one of the big things that came out from Nationals was that F Exotic shirt. And the reason I want to touch on that was because a lot of exotic people wanted to put that on the ABKC. Everybody know what you, man. You hold no cards when it comes to how you feel, man.
You know,
Why is it the fuck exotics movement right now, man?
oh man, it's because the dog is unhealthy and bad for the breeds. You know, a lot of people think that the exotic is an American bully, and we get a rap now for promoting unhealthy dogs. I'll be the first one to say, if exotic people start caring about conformation and health, I would support them just like I support the other bully breeds.
What is your thoughts about that? Because, you know, I talked about that. That's that man's opinion on how he feels about that certain movement and the reasoning behind the shirt of unhealthy dogs. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, first let me just say that we are going to end this in a good way on a positive note, but we both know there's a lot of things in the community right now that need some addressing. So I'm happy to clear all that up and give our stand on everything and get all that out of the way. So on that situation, in all honesty, I look at it different ways. Number one, it has nothing to do with ABKC. We have an event, you know, we sanction the ring. It's open to the public. It's a public event. What happens, what people wear in the door, what they have, you know, that's a different story. I mean, as long as it's not illegal things, disruptive things like that, we don't have any real rules or regulations on what the public wears or their expression of things like that. So we can't control that. I personally, inside the ring, that, you know, that to me would have been something unacceptable. Not just the stand, but the profanity and everything else like that. So, and it wasn't. So, I mean, it didn't happen. And Terrell has a lot more respect, I think, for that type of environment to, you know, to enter the ring or do something like that. So it really isn't an ABKC situation at all. I mean, you can't regulate what people are going to wear inside of a venue, you know. A lot of people are upset, if you don't mind me taking it further, with my stand on things. And I just want to clarify. First of all, I do understand the concept of people saying, why hate on something if it's different or it's not your thing? And I 100% agree. That part I agree all the way with. And there's been times when my emotions have gotten away from me and I've expressed dislike towards things. And probably, in all honesty, that's not the way I really believe that I should represent myself, nor you know, should it be. I don't go after things that I don't like in life anyway. That's not normally what I do. I do have a problem with the exotic in a certain way. And number one, when you have something like that that has changed so much from what we have, I don't like the idea of it trying to fly under the same flag. Because it's not. It's a completely different thing. And when you have a breed that we have, which is a young breed still, which does have some diversity, which I'll get into in a second, to have things outside of that looking like they represent that, it just adds more confusion. And it makes it a harder battle to truly show what this breed is and, you know, to ever achieve a point of where this is true purity, you know, or in uniformity to some degree. So when they fly under that radar, which a lot do, there's a lot of people say, oh no, we're separating, but there's a lot that aren't. There's a lot of people that still want that same American Bully name. They still want the American Bully registration. They think it's hate that possibly that we're denying ones. But the bottom line is it's not hate. You have to have some kind of distinct line of things. And when things go beyond that line, you have to stop and say, well, then we can't accept this. Because if we are accepting that, then we're just expanding further into something that's so far from what we really are that you're never going to have any uniformity, and it's just going to create constant, you know, chaos and misconception of what the breed is. So it sends out an image nobody really knows in the public if this is called this and this is called this and this is called this. So that's one issue that I have, is that I think that those things, those dogs that have gone that far outside of what our breed is, added other things, have a look that's not there, then they need to go ahead and identify. If they're running with the name exotic, then use the name exotic. And let's have that separation. And with that separation, then we have two different things going on where people could say, okay, this is this and this is this. Then I don't really have an issue with that. I myself see a lot of the dogs that are really poor quality dogs. Not saying poor quality for American Bully, just poor health in general. And I see some telltale things that I know are wrong. When you see deformations that you know are true deformations, not an assumption of a deformation, but there are some things that you look at and it's like, that's really a deformity. That's really something wrong. That's unhealthy for the dog. That's something that's going to hinder the dog's walking. It's going to, be dysplastic. It's going to have issues. When you see that, I have an issue with that, because if you're knowingly creating and breeding something that you know is a serious defect, I don't mean a trait that some will feel is bad for this, or they don't like this type of movement, or I mean something that's actually a deformation of bone structure and things like that. That's an issue, or when you have dogs when you know that they're having internal issues, meaning like a lot of these dogs have the enlarged organs and things like that are going to cause these dogs to have very short lifespans and not good quality lifespans. When you're seeing those type of things, issues with walking, other issues, those are the problems that I have, because it's just not right. It's just like, you don't want to breed something that actually has an issue, a true defect, to something else that has a true defect, and then promote that as being something good when it's not, when it's truly hindering a dog. As far as the difference in looks, I don't have any problem with that. As far as running the name exotic, I have no problem with that. A lot of people think, like, I've heard this misconception, oh, it's hurting Dave's business. We can clarify that right away. It's not hurting my business. If I wanted money, or the company wanted money, we'd accept everything. And with that movement, we would have accepted long ago. We would have accepted those dogs. That would have brought a lot more revenue of registration. So it is completely ridiculous to say that's hurting business. It doesn't hurt any business whatsoever. I've heard him say it hurts me, or my business as a dog breeder. I don't even breed dogs. For me, breeding dogs is a hobby. Once every blue moon, you'll see me having something. You might see me do something, but I've done what I wanted to do in life with dogs. I'm done. I'm past that era. If I do something with dogs now, it's just straight hobby. It's not for profit. It's not for any of these things. I don't care. That's not where my money comes from. That's not what I want it to come from. Nor the ABKC, which I'll get into that too. But so I don't have like a hatred towards exotics. If I've spoken out of line at times, I've never gone quite to that extent, but if I've spoken out of line at times, it's not meant for hate. It's meant for frustration. And a lot of times in that community, a lot of those people who've promoted their dog have been anti-me or anti-ABKC, and there's been a lot of slander in the way that they've done promotion. And a lot of times, that does get you after a while. I've always had these things, Dave and George have this battle, I could care less about George. I don't really know George. I met him years ago. I seen Miyagi years ago. I have no real personal issue with the guy. Him making money doesn't affect my life in any way, shape, or form. So I've never had that, but people use these things to try to start all this controversy, and sometimes it gets old, because sometimes you're just being wrongly attacked for things, and you do lash back out, which is wrong. I mean, in the situation that we're in, we need to be positive at all times, and I try to. I try to be. I hear people say Dave's a politician. He speaks like a politician. Well, of course. I mean, in this line of work, representing this breed, you need to be a politician. I mean, you need to do something positive for a breed. I mean, people think the war is over and like we've got, public acceptance on everything, and to a large degree we do, but to a large degree we don't. So, you got to still try to be positive in everything you do when you're representing something beyond or bigger than yourself. It's one thing how you carry yourself and represent yourself, but when you're representing an entity or something else that is bigger than you, then you need to be positive, and you need to speak politically correct to some degree. So as far as that whole situation, it really isn't an ABKC situation. Whether I agree or disagree, it's irrelevant, because it's not my situation. I didn't do it. And I don't want to get into whether I agree or disagree, because everybody has their own opinions on that. I don't really have an issue with people creating their own breed. I think the problem in the exotic world is that they haven't really gotten down to focusing on what their goal is, what their standards are, what the purpose is. I think it's still based on selling and just profit.
I was going to ask you that, if you thought that, because of the market for them overseas, especially in places like China, where they're going for big dollars. And will that, in your opinion, do you think that will ever change, where they will start focusing on the health of the dog more than what they're getting for the dog?
It's beyond even the health of the dog. That's a factor that you need to have when creating a breed. You need to put health as a factor. Obviously, you want to sustain the life of the dog and to sustain, the breed. So that is a factor. And what I'm seeing and what I personally believe, and you're not seeing a huge influx overseas everywhere, but there are pocket places where you see that.
Pocket places.
Yeah, and that type of promotion is a fad type of promotion. And eventually, fads pass. Fads come and go. I've been in fads, our whole life. Everybody's, see how quick fads come and go. And they come, they boom, they blow up, make a lot of money, boom, they move on to the next thing. When that fad is over, which it will be over, and this is not a derogatory thing, it's the truth, because you're basing something off of marketing, not substance. And when you're basing it off of marketing, not substance, you're basing it off of hype. And hype and fad and all these things tie together. So it will. So my advice to that community is start to look at what it is that you're trying to create, what it really is. Don't look at it like, okay, well, we're just trying to, if this sells, this is it, this is it, this is sells. That's going to pass. So if you want something to be sustained, and here's a guy that people think that hates the exotic, trying to give some advice, is at least have a plan, have a direction. Map out what it is that you really want your breed to be. What is your final goal for this breed? What is the purpose of the breed? What are the standards of the breed? What is the ideal representation of this breed? I've heard people come to me and say, oh, Dave, but you're not fair because there's a lot of people out there breeding good quality exotics. Okay, well, I'm not seeing that, and I'm not denying that. But what I'm saying is, if you're seeing that there are good quality exotics, and this is what you're saying to me, that there are people out there breeding that, then that is great. But what you need to do then is put it down. Give it its standards. Give it its purpose. Put out exactly, this is what we're trying to achieve. This is the end result. This is where we want to be. And then when you have that and you have something to strive for, something to breed for.
This is the standard of the breed.
Yeah, but a standard that has a purpose. Mm-hmm. I don't mean a purpose as a working purpose. I mean a purpose as, what is our final goal for this? How is this going to be a sustainable breed? What is going to make this breed unique? What is going to make this breed a breed that can last for generations, like I said, sustainable? But I mean, you have to have other reasons for your standard. Yes, they break down all of the characteristics and traits of the dog, but you need to have the end result of what is the purpose for this. And once you get that, and you have a purpose, and you remove the things that are actually really wrong, physically wrong, doesn't matter what look you're going for, that's your prerogative, not mine. But that's where you need to go with something like that. And that's why they're like, well, you hate on this and you don't want this. No, it's not that. To me, that's not a breed right now. It's more of a fad. It isn't a breed. Maybe there are great breeders, and maybe they're going to get together at some point and really try to take it a direction to where they separate it and give it a real purpose and a real standard. And at that point, that's when you come back to a registry and say, hey, we have a completed breed. This is our breed. These are the generations we've had. These are our standards. This is the history. That's what we do. We as ABKC are a pedigree registration company. We created the American Bully, yes, and that's what built us. But anything beyond the American Bully, we are just accepting breeds. What we call a hosting registry. We're a hosting registry. We're not going to create another breed of dog. That's not our job. That is breeders' job. That's a club's job. That organization and those people, breeders and clubs and things that they form, they do that. And when they have a completed project that makes sense, then you go back to a registry and submit it and say, this is what we have. And that's when you decide whether, or not a registry accepts it or not. So at this particular moment, the exotic thing isn't an ABKC issue whatsoever. We don't accept them, not out of hate at all, but because they're different from the American Bully. We cannot call them the American Bully, and they're not a finished breed. So there's nothing really there that pertains to the ABKC. And the situation that happened there, it wasn't an ABKC situation. It wasn't a focus of Nationals. It wasn't something that we were promoting. So, I mean, it is what it is. Whether you like it or you don't like it, that's a different scenario, but it's not our scenario,
Now, let's talk about what's going on right now in the shortybull community, and what exactly is going on that people are having a problem with right now?
To be honest with you, I don't know. That little recent uproar, I really don't understand it. I think there was a lot of things going around in the community that were false information, probably sparked by a comment I made to one of the shortybull creators, but taken out of context and moved around, and it turned into ABKC is changing the standard or something like that, so, which is completely untrue. What it is, and if you don't mind, I'll go in a little bit in the shortybull history so you understand where we are with the shortybull and our stand on the shortybull. The shortybull was brought to us in 2006. It was introduced to ABKC, I believe 2006. Don't quote me exactly, but somewhere around that time frame. And the acting president at that time of ABKC had these dogs. So he brought it to us and said, let's review this breed, see if we want to accept it, and we did. And we didn't know anything about that breed other than what was presented to us. The person that he was working with was one of the co-founders of the breed. We now know there's two co-founders, Amy
Maybe
and
Jamie.
Yes, BBCR, BBC. They were co-founders of the breed. We didn't know of BBC at the time. We only knew that they introduced this dog to us, this breed, through this person, Amy. Nobody ever really mentioned there was another side to it. We didn't know. Not that we're ignorant on that, it's just we just didn't know, you know. And it was a new breed to us. So for many years, we went with the Shorty Bull under what we were taught by Amy and under the standard that the BBCR, which was only a Shorty Bull breed at that time, brought to us. So that's all we knew for many years. We gave them a platform. She actually helped us, and we trained all of our judges on that breed with her guidance, with her standard. So our original judges when that breed were brought in were trained by one of the creators with their standard. She was actually a judge for us. We brought her in. She worked with our judges on that breed. We worked with her on the American Bully breed. And for many years, we provided a really good platform for that breed. We gave them a way to compete with the breed, display their breed. We followed their standards. I think we did a lot of justice for the breed because we gave them an outlet and we gave them a way to display themselves. And, you know, like I said, we gave them a good platform. Years into it, we brought to our attention, there was a second half of this breed, Jamie Sweet. We didn't know Jamie Sweet. We didn't know about the BBC. Many people came to us and say, y'all really need to speak to this lady and learn that there's a second part of this breed that you all are not accepting and you all are not acknowledging. You know, apparently there was an internal war between these two sides. None of these things we knew about, you know. We don't know about that kind of stuff. So I actually went and met her myself, you know, at a show. And I talked to her. And then I got to talk to other people that knew her very well. And I realized there are two sides to this breed. And it is unfair for us to have one side and not the other side. Because this breed truly was created by two people. And both admitted this, so there's really no reason us as a hosting registry should be put inside of a battle between two different entities that created it, when all we are is the hosting registry. We just want to display it, properly display the breed. So at that point, we said, yes, we will accept her standards. We took the Shorty Bull standard that we had, which Jamie had a different Shorty Bull standard. Between the two, we were able, with the input too, to come up with what our standard is, which is kind of a blend of the two. And we've run with that standard ever since. That has never changed. It so happened that the BBCR at the time in that world got upset that we accepted this side. So there was an uprise, and a lot of people, Amy and a lot of her people, left ABKC because they were upset that we brought in this side of it. I could understand the anger. At the same point, it's not fair. And it's not fair to the breed. It's not fair to the fanciers of the breed. And you don't want to limit a breed like that. If you're trying to grow your breed and there's two different people that created it, you want to bring the whole breed in, you know, and it's not our job to fight those internal battles. Again, we're not the creators of the breed. We're not the founders. We're just hosting the breed. So, you know, that caused an uproar within the community between those sides, you know, and a lot of the people that followed Amy did leave, you know, but a lot of people who had those dogs stayed because they only learned about that breed through us. And this was their platform. This was their home. You know, they don't want to be involved in that situation either. So anyway, it's run like that for many years. And we'll get into another thing later on, is where we are as ABKC, and our goal this year, as I've said to you before, and I'll get in depth on that, is to train and educate. And we really want to work with our judges, especially on the other breeds outside of just the American Bully, because we are new to a lot of these breeds. And
because you had a big seminar out in Phoenix, Arizona,
right,
I believe.
That's what I was getting ready to get into. So our goal was to do a lot of training with judges this year and really train them in depth on not only the American Bully breed, but all the other breeds, especially all the other breeds we have. Because again, it's new to us, you know, and it's one thing to be able to judge and read a standard. Yes, you should read a standard and understand it, but it's different when you have some more hands-on, in-depth training. So we did have a seminar. It was a practice seminar because we're still working on our training process. So it wasn't a complete seminar, but during the seminar we did bring in the French Bulldog of America, French Bulldog Association of America, the English Bulldog Association of America, the IOBA, you know, a couple of people to bring in and talk about different breeds that we were ready to discuss. We weren't quite ready for the Shorty Bull and the Oldie, but we really, the Frenchie was an easy one, the English was an easy one, and the American Bulldog was, because we had the literature for these breeds without even creating ourselves. So it was a trial run on some things, and that's all that really was before we can get to the other one. But anyway, back to the Shorty Bull, was at that seminar we were training and we were discussing the other breeds that we have with ABKC and the other breeds that these potential judges are going to have to learn. And the Shorty Bull is one. We don't have the full training on the Shorty Bull because for me, full training, I wanted to get beyond just a written standard. I wanted to have sketches for every standard of every breed so that you could actually have a picture right there. When you're reading the terminology, you have a picture that you can say, okay, I understand this is what this is supposed to look like, and this fault or whatever it is, this is what that looks like. So now you can actually read it, see it, you know. I want to go even further and have a video. So that way when you're reading it, you're seeing it, you got a live video. You know, I wanted to get the full gamma of every way people perceive and learn things. So that's what our focus is. The Shorty Bull, we hadn't done the sketches yet. We hadn't done anything. We just have the standard. And
in that process, did you have to talk? Did you feel it was necessary to reach out to either Jamie or Amy
afterwards?
Afterwards,
Yes. And I'll get into that. So anyway, we trained in depth on the breeds that we had completed the literature for, completed the sketches for. And many of the breeds that we hadn't started on. And we basically, and this wasn't a seminar that people left that day fully trained. It was a seminar where we had a lot of potential applicants that wanted to learn about ABKC. We wanted to learn about them. So it was also an evaluation of people. And in the process, we were doing some training on the breeds and then basically explaining that by no means were they finished that day or anything like that. So, you know, afterwards, I actually looked at the Shorty Bull standard myself and got into it. And I did. I talked to Jamie and I said, look, this is what we're looking for. Amy, let's back up a minute. Amy, I'm not as concerned anymore because Amy was part of the BBCR. That was her registry. That's what she created for that breed. And then she's no longer with them as in ownership. That has been sold and it's owned by other people, other entities. When you have a creator that's no longer involved at that level with a registry, it's very hard then to look at that and say, well, then that's a parent registry. Before that was a parent registry, BBC was a parent registry, we're a hosting registry. In this case, when your creator is no longer part of that parent registry, then for us we have a different look on it because we've actually been dealing with that breed now longer than the new people involved in the registry. We have more history than they do, you know. So I'm not as concerned with her in that aspect anymore because in my opinion she's not active with that breed and she's not an owner in that registry. So that part to me is like you've lost one of, you know, your founders in my opinion. But we still have a lot of people who were brought up under that are with us, and we don't want to forget about those people because those are the people that really work for that breed. So I did reach out to Jamie afterwards and I said, you know, before I can have these sketches drawn, there are some things in the standard that need some clarification. And what I gained from a lot of the Shorty Bull people is a very similar situation to what we have. They have a breed and their perceptions, we have a breed that is not quite finished. We're not at the point to where we're ready to put a final say on everything. So there's going to be some variances. There's going to be some things that are in a standard that they say are accepted. There's going to be some things that they say are preferred. In an ideal standard, you want to focus on the preferred. The accepted gives you a lot of gray area. And when you're drawing stamp pictures and things like that, it makes it very difficult because when you have that word accepted, it's too broad. And it doesn't limit enough things. And it doesn't specify enough things. So you really want to focus on the preferred. So my conversation with her basically was saying, we need help on this because we need to take this standard and make it stricter like we had to do with the American Bully. Like people say we changed our standard, which again, we didn't. We tightened the boundaries of our standard. We made it stricter. We removed a lot of the accepteds and made them preferences. You know, we turned a lot of things that should have been into flaws and things into disqualification. So we made it tighter, better descriptions. So, because you have to, as a breed grows, you have to get better and better and better until finally you're at the finished product. So I understand what they're saying with the Shorty Bull, that it's not completely there and they're not ready to take that next stage with the standard. I understand that. The problem is that it's very difficult to get an in-depth training and sketches and things like that when you're having some variances, some gray areas that need to be finished. So my comment to her was, you're the parent registry. We're a hosting registry. It's fine that you all want to have less boundaries because you all are developing it. This is your project. This is not our project. We just want to host it. So what I really wanted was, I wanted that our judges to be trained on what's ideal. Not just what's accepted, and I think what's ideal. It's way better if you have a hosting registry to be stricter with your hosting registry, to have the strictest version of your standard that you have. That way there isn't the confusion, because we're not the people that want to be involved in the confusion of a breed. And we want our judges to be trained so they can properly evaluate the breed when the breed's being displayed. That's what a conformation show is. So for us, it's much better to give us the strict version, give us the ideal version. Even if the dogs aren't all the way there yet, that's fine. Because what you're going to have then is you're going to have a bunch of dogs in the ring that aren't all the way there yet. But when the standard is this way and we're looking for what's ideal, it'll help a judge narrow that down to what is the closest to ideal. And that's what's going to happen. Unless you already have ideal dogs, then you're a lot further along than you really thought you were. So we weren't saying we're changing anything. What we're saying is give us the best you got. Give us what you want ideal to be so that we can train on what that is. Of course, we would bring in the people for the initial training. Nobody's going to say it better than the parent club and the organization that created it. And that's going to be the initial training. But they're not going to be present for every single judge that apprentices and every single judge that applies, because that is done internally within your registry, you know. So what we're saying is come in here, give us that, work with our sketch artists, get this thing to ideal, get it to where so when we're looking at our standard and we're looking at our training program, there's no questions. It's black and white. It's right here. This is what it is. That's all we asked. And that's what we're still asking for. And she has reached out to me again and says, you know, to come on out there. And I will give the respect of that, you know. I think that other people in the community also need to speak up, because there were two sides to this breed, you know. And we're not asking to do anything different with this breed. We just want to know what is ideal for this breed. That's all we want, so that we can better educate our judges. That's it, you know. And we're not doing it ourselves. We're asking for help to do it. So I'm not sure what the blow up was. We're just trying to better ourselves. And all we want to do is properly represent that breed, you know. And we want to properly represent the ideal version of that breed. You know, not saying that they're automatically going to be in the ring, but like I was explaining when we were talking about the exotics, you need to have that. You need to have the end goal on paper so people can say, this is ideally what we want. This is what we're striving to produce. Us in the American Bully world, we understand this because we've made the mistakes already. We've already been through this whole process, and we aren't finished yet. So we saw the mistakes we made, and we saw, like, we got to start to get to that ourselves. So of course we're going to give the same advice outside, because we've lived it ourselves. We're still living it, and we don't want to have the gray areas that we've had in our own breed when we're dealing with these other breeds. And we're telling these other breeds, get it done for us, so that when we're doing it, you guys have already tweaked all of that stuff out, you know. And that's all it was.
Now, one of the big things you talked about, you had a post one time for the 2017 as far as judges. Do you want to go into depth about what you were talking about as far as bringing in new judges and evaluating what you have going on with the judges currently?
Yeah, I think and this has stirred up a lot of controversy. And you're going to see a lot of controversy, and you're going to see people walking. You're going to see people that aren't going to stay with us. And that's fine, because if this isn't your home, this isn't what you want, by all means, then it is time to go somewhere else and do something different. Because what we're striving for is to be the best that we can possibly be. And if you're not willing to better yourself or grow with that, then you're really not going to fit in what we're doing anyway. So it's better you go elsewhere with that, you know, because we want to better you as a judge. We want to better the breeds. We want to better the community. Our whole goal is on education, training our judges and training our community. We're not just focused on judges. What we do with our judges, we will make available for the community too. It's no point in just training the judges. You need to educate everybody on the big picture. So there are going to be a lot of changes. What happened in our world is our base of judges, which I love our judges, but our base of judges grew with us, a lot of them. They came and were grown as we grew. Our community grew, and they came from our community. Not all of them, but a good core of them came from our community, which is 100% fine. But those judges are part of what we are. Something that was created for something, the American Bully, and had to go through the growing years of the American Bully, and then grew outside of the American Bully, and is now a multi-breed registry. So a lot of those judges have the same perception that we have, but we're realizing we're a baby when it comes to these other breeds. We need to make sure we are really properly evaluating and understanding these other breeds. These are not our breed. We are a host registry for these breeds, and we're going to give them a home and give them a platform, but we don't want to alter them. You know, we don't want to change anything. We just want to represent the proper, you know, form of these dogs. So a lot of our judges that are currently there, we want all of our judges, once the program is complete, to go back into the program and to retrain, to be recertified. We don't want to release anybody after that to judge other breeds until they've been properly recertified through us on every single breed, so they're a true multi-breed judge. We will continue to grow people within our community. as we have, and train them to be judges as people get to that level and to where they feel and we feel that they're ready for that stage, and they've accomplished what they need to accomplish. And we'll continue to do that, but we are definitely now outsourcing to other registries that have experience with a lot of the other breeds that we have, bringing them in. We will be bringing on 5 UKC judges this month, 4 for sure. We will be bringing on 2 IOBA judges this month, within the next month or so. Anyway, they're going through the training now. Not that we think those organizations are better. We all have our differences, but a lot of these judges have a lot of experience in AKC. They have experience in other bulldog registries, so they have an eye for a lot of these other breeds, and they've had history with these other breeds that bring something to the table for us. Our breed is going to be new to them, which we focus a lot of training with them on our breed too, so they really understand, because our breed is a lot different than American Pit Bull Terrier and the American Staffordshire Terrier, and they need to know that. So we are now bringing in judges from other places in the mix of the people within our community that are growing like we have, So it's going to be nice, man. It's going to be fun.
I got to ask on that concept, because I don't want to read in between the lines on what you were talking about as far as the new concepts for the judges in 2017. Did it some way, what was your thoughts as far as current judges being a part of groups? Did that play a part into it or not really?
Judges being part of groups has never been a rule of ours. When I ran a group, the Elite Edge, it was always a rule that if you're a judge, you can't judge EE members, We as ABKC have made it a rule now, and it goes into effect for the beginning of 2017, that if you're a member of a group, then you cannot judge dogs from your group, just to avoid the politics of it. Mm-hmm. We understand that all judges are not going to look at the faces. Our judges are not there to pick a person, they're there to pick the dog, and we trust in that, but we think it's a good rule just to drop that argument of politics. I'm not going to make it a rule that you can't be part of a group, but if you are a part of a group, then you're not to be judging that, I think sometimes judges need to look at the bigger picture too, that once you're stepping into another role, you might want to look back on things and say, you know what, that time has changed, my position has changed, it's time to step into a new thing. I had to do that. I ran the EE for years, and the EE was a needed thing in our community for our breed. But once I got involved in ABKC, I could no longer be an EE manager or running the EE. I couldn't do it anymore because it's just.
So you had to make a decision.
Yeah,
what do you want to do? What do you want to do?
I had to, and that was my personal preference. I'm not saying that these other people have to do that, but I seriously think that when you step into another position, you have to. And it's a lot of things, even with the way you conduct yourself. The person you were before. Like
I was going to ask that about ethics and conducting yourselves. Also, because you hear the grumblings. Well, drinking or smoking
weed, and these are things that we take very seriously, and it's spreading through the community now that we're not going to take lightly to a lot of things now. Things that might be accepted socially within your friends and things, fine, that's fine, and I have no problem with that. And whatever your belief is, that's your personal belief. But when you're stepping into a position that's a different position, that you're representing more than yourself, more than your group, at that point you have to step back and say, you know what, sometimes I have to think of the big picture of this.
At the end of the day, you're representing the registry.
Exactly. When you're president of America, you're going to have to be different than you were before. You have to be, because now you're representing a nation. You're doing something different. You're no longer just for yourself, And it's the same when you're a judge, you're representing breeds, you're representing a registry. You're so many things that you're at a different stage, in a different position, that you have to look inside and say, sometimes you make personal sacrifices, because I might feel a certain way about something, but not necessarily everything I represent does. So now I'm representing these things. I have to step back a little bit and say, I got to do things for the broader of what I'm doing. So yeah, you have to be stricter in that. Once you take a position as a judge, you are taking a different position. And you need to think about how you conduct yourself in public, how you conduct yourself on social media. That's the biggest one for everybody in this world. Not just judge, everybody, think about that. But, you got to, because you're no longer, if you're Zeb, you're no longer just Zeb anymore. You're a judge that people are coming to you to evaluate their dogs. People are looking at you to tell them about what they have. So you're doing something at a different level.
You grow over the years. I made many mistakes on social media, so I ain't gonna lie. I made many mistakes, but
we all
you learn and grow.
Yeah, you learn. I've made a million mistakes in life, and every year I look back like, dang, shoot. But I do also try to keep conscious that when I step into something where I'm representing something bigger than me, that I have to change. I have to understand that I'm accepting this position, and in the process of accepting that position, other things come with that, and you're gonna have to change. So yeah, I mean, like the stand on weed, you know, it's a mixed thing. You know, I've seen people who believe in it, people who don't believe in it. The bottom line is, socially, it's a mixed feeling. Some places, it's illegal. So when you're in that position, you're in a position of a judge. You're at an event to judge dogs. You're not at an event to party. You're not at an event to social. Well, I mean, there's always going to be some socializing. You can't get away from that. But you're not there to do some things that maybe you do in your normal life. And you know what? It's just a weekend. So, you know, if you are somebody that smokes weed or does something like that, and it's in a place that's legal to do that, do those things, but do it in the privacy of your own thing, not at a setting where you're supposed to be here for this purpose. This is a job when you're a judge, a job when you're a rep. You're being paid to be there, and you're there to do a job and represent. So you got to do that. It's the same if you go to work every day. You go to work, there's things that you're not going to do in that office that you might do when you get home. Same concept. I mean, it's just common sense, you know. So we are going to be strict on that. I mean, you know, I don't like the idea of judges partying and doing things, socializing the night before an event, and we're going to be a lot strict on that. I think judges need to realize that you're here to judge. So before the event, go to your room, eat dinner by yourself, do your thing, you know, don't be seen. You know, the night after, it's maybe a little bit different, but still, you're there for a purpose, do your purpose, you know. So yeah, we are going to be strict on that, and we are going to be really, really strict on training. I mean, that is our biggest thing, and that's what that little seminar popped all up. I think that's people scrambling, thinking more is happening or not understanding what's happening, and it's not. All we're doing is working on getting the right program so that you as a judge step into this training program. By the time you walk out of that training program, you have no questions about what you just learned. There's nothing. And then it goes to the public. So now the public can see everything that the judges did. The public gets to see it as well. And that way they understand too. So they're understanding each breed down to every bit of their standard, you know. And that's all it is. It's just we are trying to get better at educating everybody, our judges, our community, everything. I'll just give you an example that I'm an American Bully guy. I was a Pit Bull guy, I was an Amstaff guy, you know. I started out with Game Dogs, moved to Amstaffs, moved back to UKC, American Bully. So that's all I know. You know, I didn't have a good knowledge of a lot of the other Bulldog breeds that, you know, around us through American Bully eyes, you know. And I was looking at these dogs like that, you know, some of these dogs are really messed up, you know, like this wrong, until I read the standard.
Until you read the standard.
Yes, and then I got into the standard, and I started seeing the drawings and the exceptions, and I'm sitting there thinking, man, I didn't know what I was doing.
Because you looked at it.
Yeah, I looked at the American Bully, and I'm thinking these dogs are screwed up because there's some things that for us are really bad things, but in this breed,
it's what it's
supposed to be. So here I'm looking at like I had this whole thing wrong. You know, and I
had it wrong. I was looking at the standards too and realized that.
You like, oh,
shoot, I looked through the lens of American Bully and realized certain things.
I still see people in the ring taking a French Bulldog and they're stacking it like an American Bully. I'm like, now that I learned the French Bulldog, I'm realizing like, whoa, a lot of people got this whole thing wrong. This is an American Bulldog. These breeds are unique to themselves. So, I mean, when I learned that, I realized like, you know, and this is me saying it. I'm not a judge, so it's okay for me to say I didn't know these things because I'm not evaluating your dogs. You know, and I'm not a judge. But when I saw that, I was like, you know, how much of our community doesn't know this? How many people are getting into these other breeds, but they're not really understanding? So it's a big thing that we need to do public education too.
Yeah, with the lack of knowledge, then they're griping and stuff, but not really knowing.
Not really, yeah. I mean, it's one thing that our judges should already know those things because they should be reading the standards, yes. But it's another thing to say that the exhibitors and the public should know that because not necessarily, you know, and I didn't know some of these things. So for me, it's a big thing. Yes, judges beyond no question got to know this inside and out, but we also want to make sure the public understands it inside and out too, you know, and that's our whole purpose and what we're doing.
Speaking on judges, you know, Ron Ramos made the announcement that he's retired.
Yes, sir.
Give your thoughts on his legacy with the ABKC.
Hey, Ron Papa Pitt, I mean, the thing with Ron is when you think of Ron, you think of the American Bully. You think of ABKC. I mean, he's an icon for that. I knew Ron from UKC days, always a good guy. And when we started this, he was one of the first people I personally reached out to. And what I liked about Ron was Ron knew the community and he understood that we were a young, growing community. And a lot of times I speak for the community. I have a different history than some people, but you know, we were a young community. And Ron was the first guy to sit back and say, you know what, I have the patience to work with this because this is a great community. These are great people. These are great dogs. So Ron looked at it from the very beginning as, I want to be part of building this. This is something I want to be involved in building this community. And he always told me, man, they don't understand. This community right here, this breed, it's going to roll over everything. It's going to take off. And he always told me that. Ron was the first guy to tell me, it's going to take off. It's going to take off. Just watch. Ron had belief in this breed. He had belief in ABKC. He had a true belief in this community. Ron, if you've ever met Ron, you know Ron. Ron's a guy that you feel like he's family.
Family. Yeah.
Ron's quick to crack a joke. He's quick, but he's also, when he's in the ring, he's serious. He's doing his job. He's evaluating those dogs, doing what he's supposed to do. So Ron, to me, I mean, Papa Pitt he's iconic with this. I mean, if you look at Papa Pitt, I mean, you can't help to think, man, that's ABKC. He's more of a face than I am. I'm a prettier face. But no, I'm just teasing you, Ron. But no, I mean, in all honesty, I believe he's more of a face than even I am, because he's been on the forefront forever, and he's been there with everybody. Every judge in our registry came up one way or another through Ron. You know, they know Ron, they came through Ron. So we should all have a lot of love and a lot of respect for Ron. I hate to see Ron go. You know, I mean, there comes a point in life sometimes that, you know, you've gotten to a point where physically some things maybe you're not there, or the stress. I mean, this is a rough community, man. This is a truly rough community, and social media makes it really bad in a lot of ways. And I think it's very unfair to a lot of judges, and they're harsh on a lot of judges, because you don't always see from the same view that a judge sees. You're not always touching, feeling, seeing the same things. You might be seeing a dog from the sidelines, and that dog might be at his worst stack ever. That dog might be backing up. It might be, you know, who knows what it is. But you're saying, oh, look, he should never pick that dog. But in actuality, when that dog was being evaluated, everything was, you know, different about that dog. Or you might see something that you didn't even know, and the judge saw. The dog had one testicle. The dog had, you know, an issue with his bite. Things that you're not even seeing. So people are very harsh on judges after an event because they watched it from Facebook or a picture or something, you know, and it's rough. And this is it can be a cutthroat community at times, which I'm having a lot of issues with myself, because really our community a lot of our community nowadays missed the battle that a lot of the older guys in our community fought, where we didn't have this respect. So we respected each other, because if we didn't respect each other, we would have lost the battle.
Basically, they're reaping the benefits.
Yeah, they're reaping the benefits without realizing that this was not an easy thing. And when you attack and tear down your own community, in essence, you're going to tear down everything you have. You know, and I have a big issue with that nowadays. But a lot of judges, you know, they get it hard, you know, and I've seen it happen over and over again. But it's little tiny things that maybe it was this, you know, who knows, but people take it to a whole nother level, and it's rough. So I'm not saying that played part on Ron, but I'm saying that a guy from our generation or his generation and the generation we came from, it's a new world now. And it's a very public, cutthroat world, and sometimes it stresses people out. You know, sometimes you got somebody that came out there to do a good job, and they did everything to the best of their ability, and they know why they did what they did. But then to see them get attacked and bashed, you know, it's rough. So I can't blame anybody for thinking that this is rough, and I don't want the mental stress of any of this anymore, because it is truly rough, you know. I'm not saying that's what any of his factors were, but I mean, he asked to retire and he wanted to retire. I didn't think that it was going to come right that day. I wish I would have known that he was ready right at the end of Nationals, because we could have did something a lot more for Ron. And we still will. We all love Ron, you know. I think it was great for him to be on that stage. It was a great final send-off for Ron. I think he did an impeccable job. Ron has always done a great job at Nationals. Ron's done Nationals 3 times. Nobody else has returned to Nationals 3 times. Ron has done it more than anybody else, and I'm very confident in Ron. Ron knows what he's doing in the ring, and he's done a great job. And once again this year, he did a great job.
Yeah, beautiful bully and grand champion.
Yes, Ron. I mean, it was beautiful bully, and I will give him a shine at some point in the video here. But yeah, I mean, Ron did a great job. I hate to see Ron go. Hate to word it like that, because he's not passing away. He's not disappearing from our community. It's just his time in the ring is ended, and he wants to retire, and you know, and we respect him for that. We do miss him. I mean, well, I was gonna miss him, but it's not like such a bad thing where people think, you know, it's a horrible thing. No, it's just you have a guy that has reached the top of his game, and now he's at the end of his era for what he wanted to do for that. He set his mark. He made his way. He's historic. He's iconic. He's Papa Pitt. He'll forever be what he does, and he's forever going to have what he did for our community. So his legacy is here. He's part of it. It's sad because maybe he's not judging anymore, but it's not sad because the guy had did everything he wanted to accomplish in this, and he's done so much for all of us. And to say I'm at my retirement phase, sometimes that's a blessing. You know, good. Now enjoy life. Come to the shows. Don't be in the spotlight of wondering what people are going to say at the end of the show. And, you know, you don't have to deal with the drama and the politics and all those things that judges have to carry on their shoulders anymore. It's nice to be able to set that aside, sit back, and look at what was done and be happy and just be able to come around and shake hands. And I think he's at that phase of life where he wants to just enjoy it now. He just wants to come and be part of his community that he helped build and he helped create. So I'm not sad as far as that end of it. I will miss him being our senior judge and miss him being in the ring, but he's still going to be part of our community. So, you know, nothing but wish the best for him and thank him over and over again for everything he's done for all of us. I mean, you can't thank Ron enough for that. You know, like I said, he helped build this. So, I mean, ABKC, American Bully, Papa Pitt, it's all his legacy.
Now, let me ask you, are you going to be traveling soon to the Euro Nationals and Nationals down in Mexico?
Yeah, those ones are, it's very hard a lot of time for my schedule. And I think people think like I'm involved like on a profitable level and people pay for me to do these things, and this is not the case. Everything I do, whenever you see me traveling, it's something I did on my own. I will never let somebody pay for me, not the company, not the host, nothing, because I feel like it's my duty to support all these things. So I want things to work the way, you know, a host should pay for a judge and so on, you know, not me. So I try to do as much as I can. I can't get to everything. I've done Euro Nationals one time. I missed the first one. I was at the second one. I have yet to be in the Mexico Nationals yet. So I'm going to try my best to get everywhere I can this year. I can't guarantee that I'll be everywhere this year. You know, I'm getting older too, and you know, so it's a lot more difficult. And my kids now are at an age. I have 2 boys that are at an age where they're in competitive sports, travel sports, so they need me around a lot more than they used to. So it's getting more and more difficult for me to do things at this stage of life, you know. So I don't know, but I'm just happy to see that these things are growing the way they are. I mean, it's unbelievable internationally to see what's happening.
What's actually going on with ABKC in China right now? Because you had a chance to go there. It was actually amazing to see, you know, Magoo at the Great Wall of China. So I was like, wow, American Bully at the Great Wall of China. So what's actually going on as far as ABKC-wise in China?
ABKC China is still in its infancy. We're going to be doing something this upcoming year for sure. I went out there and met Non-Bi, great guy. Probably treats his dogs better than anybody I've ever encountered in my life. I mean, unbelievable. If you're looking for an icon or somebody that's a good representation of this breed, is him. I mean, he truly invests in his dogs. And when I say invest, I mean in every way you can think of investing. They live unbelievably. And he's done a great job with Magoo, and he's done a great job with what he's gotten, you know, off of Magoo. So we are trying to build that community there. And it wasn't quite ready yet to start to do, they do little events out there and things, and then like you said before, there's exotic guys and other things going on. But as far as the American Bully community in ABKC, we want to make sure that once we do that first presentation, it's ready. And it will happen this coming year in 2017. But in all honesty, we needed to build a few things over there first and you know, lay the groundwork and get everything going. That's really what we did. And we're not so public about everything because at this stage, like we're building the foundation of it, you know. And once we get this going in 2017, I'm actually going to head back over there sometime, probably towards the beginning of 2017, to finalize some things and get some things going. And then I think somewhere maybe late spring, you know, we'll have an event over there, a good ABKC American Bully event. And you'll start to see what's really going on in China with this breed. I think people will be quite impressed when they see what's going on over there.
Yeah, just get into as far as the ABKC in 2017. As far as what's going to be going on with the registry and all the major changes, like you said, that's going on right now.
2017 is going to be by far the best year we've ever had, but not just as far as the support. I think I've heard this whole thing like shows are depleting and all that. This is not actually true. The problem with that is they're growing, and there's so many of them that it's becoming, you know, it's flooding the market. So that's why you're seeing a decline in numbers at some places. But then you go other places and it's huge. It's because it's so many things going on. So we're trying to simplify that for 2017, especially in America. We need to get little bit stricter rules. We weren't trying to be so strict before on how far away shows had to be from each other, you know, and what's happening is you wind up flushing each other out when you do it that way and get stricter things and expand it so it gets tighter. Internationally, you're going to see a lot more events than you ever thought you were going to see. We've pretty much hit every country. You're going to see places pop up that you didn't even know were ready for shows. But we've been working a lot behind the scenes with a lot of different countries. And in America, you're going to see better shows, better quality shows, better attendance to the shows. The judging, it's going to be phenomenal for 2017. Just wait. Trust me, education is going to be the key. When you see what we as ABKC are going to do for the community, for educating the community, it's going to be a better year. It's going to be a really good year this year, and it's going to be really good for a lot of the other breeds too. We're going to come in strong and hard on that. We're going to make sure that when we kick this year off, we're going to kick it off a different way than it has been. We're going to focus on the positive sides of everything. You know, like I said, I get tired of all the negative. I think our world has a lot of issues internally that they need to stop for a minute and think, you know what, do something for the bigger, for the better of whatever it is, you know. So we're going to focus on a lot of positive promotion, and we're going to focus on externally putting our breed and our name out there beyond the community that we have today. I was involved in that early on, and I've been working with a few different things, and you're going to start to see some media type things change, you know.
Yeah, I think that's what's missing today. You know, back then, you know, it was outside of our community, people knew about our bullies, where now with the show scene, it seems like it's got to a point where people just comfortable just inviting people within the community.
Within Facebook,
Yeah.
They invite their Facebook friends, and they forgot that was one thing that I really worked hard myself on in the beginning, was trying to draw in people, you know, outside of just because we were small at that time, you know. So I did a lot of focusing on how to draw in people and get the exposure for the breed and to get people interested in our breed. And I've taken a back seat to a lot of things over the past few years, and my involvement in ABKC is different than a lot of people perceive it. They perceive it as I'm this owner and I have all this money and all these different things, and it's not. My actual tie in that is very small. This truly was built for the community, and eventually people will realize that this was a community-built thing and it's for the breed. And I've fallen in a position of president and, you know, different things, and there's things that happen in this community where I don't want to be the sole person for anything. I want to do the things that I'm best at. And where I was best at was exposure for this breed. And now I want to be able to put more time into exposure for the registry and the breeds that are part of our registry, not just the American Bully breed. So that's really where I'm going to be in the next couple of years. And you're going to see more internally, the people that really run things, you're going to see more of them doing what they do, whether it's working with judges, standards, you know, all kinds of other things. I think people think like I change my views and I do things, and they don't realize that I don't actually run everything. You know, this isn't like I'm not the king of everything here and running everything. I've been the face for a long time, but only because I had to, because I kept pushing this, you know. I think now it's time that people start to realize there's other people involved in this, and there's other people that have different positions that are more knowledgeable than me and do more than I do, and let me get back to what I would do best, and that's working for the whole community and expanding what we do, you know. So you'll see less of me on certain things and more of me on other things. And the same with ABKC. You're going to see, I mean, it's going to change a lot this year, and it's going to be a different type of company. I mean, it's been a small company with a small community. Now we've grown outside of that, and it's time to expand, and you're going to see a lot of expansion in a lot of different ways.
Now, the announcement was made at ABKC Nationals 10th anniversary. ABKC Nationals 2017 headed to the Midwest Chicago.
Yes, sir. I got in big trouble for that.
I was going to ask you, man.
Yeah, I got in trouble for that. You know, Regina Goins is who puts together Nationals. There's a lot of people involved in Nationals. It's actually not Dave Wilson. If y'all want to know what I do for Nationals, the only thing I actually did was work on the trophies. That's it. Everything else is done without me, so I can't take credit for any of it. And I knew we were going back to the Midwest. It's time to go back to the Midwest. We started in the Midwest, and we haven't been back since the very first Nationals. And it's time to go back, you know. And what better place than Chicago? I mean, there's great places all over the Midwest, but Chicago, you got to admit, is an iconic place for the Midwest. And it's got a great airport. Every hub for everything in the world is there, and it got, man, you can eat like nowhere else. I mean, you know, Chicago's got good food. So it's a great place. I accidentally said Chicago prior to getting the approval that we have a venue in Chicago. That was my wish. So now it has to happen, you know. And I'll be in the doghouse for it. But hey, you know, we gotta go back to the Midwest. It's time.
Talk about that boy, grand champion Axel.
Man, Axel. To be honest with you, I'm not as involved. Again, like people think I'm so much more involved than I really am. I'm not involved in the day-to-day. I don't see what goes on at the ABKC office. I don't see what goes on in the ring all the time. I don't see all these things. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy on the back end doing other things. You know, there's other people that see this stuff. I don't. So when I was standing, and even at Nationals, my job, I do back end work. I work with security. I work with all these other things trying to, you know, the cleanup crews and just trying to make sure everything flows properly. That's my job at Nationals, is the back end stuff. So I don't actually get to come out and really see anything until the end. At the end, I say, look, you know, I want to see my junior handlers. I want to see the award ceremonies at the beginning, you know, especially the one that we do for the Wounded Warrior Award. I want to see these things, but I want to be there at the end. This year, I really wanted to see the Shorty Bull final champion class. I do like to see the end of all the breeds. I can't get there for those all the time, but I do want to get to when I get to the end of the American Bull. I'm really interested in the champion, grand champion, best of breed, and I got to be there for best of show. So I was sitting there, and I only caught the tail end of the champion class. So then I watched the grand champion, and then they did some separating, and then I had to go do other things. So I missed the end of the separation and all that. So I came back at the very end when there was maybe like 10 dogs in there. And I look at a dog like, man, who's that dog right there? And I was whispering to people behind me because I was like, all these dogs were really nice dogs, but I didn't know all their names. Like I knew some names. Like I mean, you gotta know Mufasa. You gotta know Toro. I mean, there's things that you gotta know. Like, you know, our number one dog so far right now is, you know, Mufasa. So there's dogs that I know.
Okay, we're going to a quick break. We back. We was talking about you and your anticipation of the champion, grand champion, and Axel.
Yeah, the thing is, so I was looking around at that class, and like I said, I didn't see till the very end, and I saw a couple dogs, and I didn't know, and that's my own ignorance for not being on the scene all the time, you know, every day in seeing it. So I did know. I said, that's a good-looking dog, you know, and trying to figure out the names of different dogs. And then I was looking around the ring myself, like, man, this is gonna be rough. I don't know who Ron's going to go with, and there were some really good competition, and you know, he picked that dog, and I was not shocked because he was a nice dog, but I just didn't know the dog. So, you know, and then when I went back and I looked at all, I was like, that was a nice dog. He was in with some stiff competition, really stiff competition, and he held his own, and it was a good dog. I mean, he rightfully stood his ground and rightfully got awarded his title. I mean, he's a good looking dog, you know, and he was right in there with the dog names that I knew. He was right up, you know, in there, and you know, I mean, I don't have a choice of who I would have chose any which way. I don't want to ever get into that, but it was a deserving dog for sure. I mean, and man, what an accomplishment to come on that stage and compete at that level and compete with some of the best, if not the best dogs, in fact, the best dogs we have in the American Bully breed, and walk away with that win. So, I mean, that's an amazing accomplishment.
And to see, and it made me think, and to see Destiny Myers do her thing. At such a young
junior
age.
handler, that's unbelievable. I missed that. I never saw that part because, like I said, I caught the very end when Tyler was handling a dog. I wish I would have gotten to see that, but again, what a great accomplishment. I mean, a junior handler, she won the junior handler this year, and then to turn around and handle the dog that won nationals, I mean, amazing accomplishment, you know. So I wish I had gotten to see that part of it, but like I said, I only get to see the very end. But man, I mean, congratulations to Axel, congratulations to their whole camp, the whole team, the handlers, everybody. Is an unbelievable win. And to be honest with you, that's really what people should still be talking about right now. That's what's on my banner, on my page. It's because, I mean, it truly is. I mean, this is what we all look forward to every year. This is what we all work for. This is the big show at the end of the year, you know. And, I mean, the dog, he did his thing. I mean, they all did their thing. So much love, much, you know, respect. Congratulations.
Tyler's definitely not a me person, man. He's
He's a
very quiet, humble guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, somewhere along the way, I'm sure he's celebrating in privacy. You know? 'Cause he walked away with a lot of hardware this year.
A lot of hardware.
I asked him too. I said, "You sure you got a van or something to carry all this home in?" You know. So, but yeah, no, it was great to see that. Great to see that. Yeah. And it was great to see last year. I don't know if you got to see. Well, I'm sure you got to see it. But the guy, Mr. G, that we flew in from New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah.
Man, that was amazing. And then to see him do last year's national winner, Aston Martin.
Yeah, I got him doing the progress throughout the day. Kept coming back to him, and to see the finished product, and it was like, wow.
It was just, to me, to see the crowning the new champion, you know, the new nationals winner, and, you know, seeing last year's nationals right there and having that going on at the same time, it was unbelievable. So, I wonder how they got that home too, because that's a big piece to take home.
He broke it down. He got it in that van. I was there when he got it there.
No, but it was just, to me, that was one of the best events we've ever had. I mean, if you had gone, which I know you went, you felt the vibe. I mean, you had to feel it. I mean, we had 3 different MCs that were all there working in harmony. You know what I mean? Like, and we hired Sig. He was our MC. We had Booley jump in. We had Spielberg jump in. We had MCs jumping in, just wanting to be part and help out, and it was lovely. You, as far as the media side of it, I mean, how many of you guys were filming together and working in unity together? Amazing, you know? And it's like, it was one of those things where everybody came as family, and it felt good. I mean, it was one of those really, really feel-good events. I think I've never seen more smiles in my life. First time I ever did a mannequin challenge, I didn't even know what that was, but believe me, at my age, standing still and not doing nothing, it's a little, it's a little easy nowadays. But no, I mean, it was just the vibe. Everything was unbelievable. I mean, New Orleans is a great place. I mean, you had a feeling when you got down there that it felt good. Something about New Orleans is just a good feeling. And then in that event that day, it was just a good vibe the entire day. The sportsmanship was unbelievable. Everything was phenomenal. I mean, I put up a post, and I know people want everybody to thank everybody. I didn't even know where to begin because I didn't have the thousands of names. I wanted to thank everybody from the top to the bottom, and it's just one of those things that everybody that came that day, people cleaned up after their dogs. It was just everything.
You're right. You were right about that. Yeah, I just thinking about that. Yeah, it wasn't no areas where it's like, God, dog pooped everywhere in this. I didn't see that.
Nothing.
I can honestly say I did not see that.
No,
yeah,
it was the most proud I think I've ever been of our community in an event because everything was good, man. I mean, there was the respect was unheard of that day, and everybody just worked with everybody, and everybody was happy, and everybody, even win or lose, smiled, shook their hands. I mean, anybody that went home with a bad attitude, then they weren't really feeling that vibe there because it was a good thing. Mm-hmm. It was beyond whether you won or lost. We won for our community and for our breed. When we left that venue, that venue called us, they want us back right away. They're like, can you do it again? Can you do it again? The hotel's like, we've never seen anything like this. I mean, we went from the drivers of the shuttle bus at the hotel, you should have seen the amount of people that came and were just amazed at our event and how beautiful the dogs were, how great our people were, our community was. It was like people were in awe of what we did, and we were so pleased and happy with each other. So whether you win or lost in the ring, it's like we won as a community, as an event. Man, we won
didn't leave the place trash or nothing. No, it was really
even nice. We had police in there because they have to have 2 police officers. That's the rule. They told me, like, I don't even know why we're here. We're here just to sit here and have fun. And they were like just loving the dogs, loving everything. So I mean, on every aspect we won as a community. And man, I left that feeling so good. I was burnt. I looked at the video that you did of me. Man, I had bags under my eyes. I look rough. Actually, I was like, man, you got to edit that kind of stuff, man. You got to get makeup artists or something next time, But because I was tired. And then I went out the night before to say hi to everybody. You know how that goes. Like, I want to be in bed by 8. But by the time I shook everybody's hand down on Bourbon Street and did all that, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, And then we get an early setup. So it was a lot of work. But when I left there, man, I never felt tired. I just felt energized because it was just such a positive vibe. Such a big, big win for our community. And, and for Axel, amazing. To have won on a stage like that, what more could you ask for, It was probably one of the best events I've ever been to. And I hope that our community walks away really feeling good about each other because we really did something great that day. And, it was an honor for me to be there and just to see just how happy everybody was. So, that's why when you see things on Facebook, man, you see these negative things and people tearing stuff down, do not waste your time on that kind of stuff. That type of stuff is meant to tear us down, regardless of what's being said. When you're doing public things to tear something positive down, it's bad. Please, don't waste your time on that. Don't look at those things. Don't partake in those things. Enjoy what we are as a community. We're a beautiful community, man. Mm-hmm. You know that. We all know that. We are a diverse community. We're a beautiful community. We're a community of all walks, all ages, all races, all views, everything.
Doesn't matter.
All nationalities, and we're family. Like, we're family together. At that event, we were family. Everywhere I go in the U.S., around the world, it's like you're always with family. Regardless of what everybody speaks, language, and everything, it's still a family. It's like, and that was a perfect representation of who we are at that event. We're one big united family, and there's nothing, in my opinion, there's nothing more beautiful in the world than to see something like that. So if you can't walk away from that and feeling good, then you need to look in the mirror and go back to the beginning because that was an amazing, amazing event, and I'm honored, so proud of our family, so much respect for all of us,
as we wrap up on the interview, I want to talk about Razor's Edge going into 2017. If you want to speak, Razor's Edge, and also let's talk about Demon Boy. Will he ever go on a tour in the U.S.?
Yeah, let's get the Razor's Edge, then we'll get the Demon Boy. Let me explain something to people. There's different levels of Razor's Edge. There's Razor's Edge, the foundation, which were the dogs that I started with that were American Pit Bull Terriers, American Staffordshire Terriers. Those dogs are competing, being shown as such. Those are dogs like Knuckles, Cairo, those dogs, that short shot, that era, you know, and many others. A lot of times people don't realize I had tons of dogs at the time. Those, you just see names and pedigrees and think that's it. No. Anybody that would ever come to my yard back in the day, my yard was like the bully community is today. We didn't have the shows here, but my yard was always a show. My yard, when you came here, people would come from all over, you know. And it just kind of like feeling we talk about national. That's how my home has always been. So Razor's Edge in that time frame were pit bulls. It's a different world, different time frame. And just to back up, you know, I've always get people like, oh, I did this or this person owned this. Bottom line is, I've dealt with so many people, whether ex-girlfriends, ex-partners, ex-things. I was involved. This is my baby. You know, I've had other people help me in all different ways, but it was always the concept of what I was trying to do. I was always the breeder. I was always the one putting the concepts together, you know. People come and go, and they all do get the respect, and they deserve the respect for what they've done. But it's a continuation. Razor's Edge, at some point in time when the UKC and things changed and we moved on to where we were, we didn't have that home anymore. We sat idle for many years, and we were breeding bully dogs. And we started to breed a bullier style dog because we had no home. So we were always pushing that boundary of bully, and not bulldog, bully. Bully meaning compact, bone, substance, you know, and that was Razor's Edge. So we always push it. There was a time frame when Razor's Edge was no longer a pit bull. First because that standard changed and we were not there. Then because we spent more generations breeding an even bullier dog. We've all talked about the concept of when the American Bully was born, how it was born, no need to go into all that. So there was a time when Razor's Edge were different dogs. So these people that look at this and say, how did this come from this, or how did Razor's Edge turn from this to this? Well, y'all are missing a whole part of the book here. Like, Cairo and those dogs were not the American Bully. Got a bug bothering me. Were not the American Bully Razor's Edge. Those were the foundation American Pit Bull Terrier Razor's Edge. Later on, if you came to my yard, and there was trolleys all up and down my yard, and 90% of them were females. And I tell you, people would walk in and be like, what is going on? You know, there were tanks, you know. Back in the days of Bodega, Wiccan, Pigeon, all these dogs, you would just walk around. I mean, I can't even, I got dogs back in those pictures now that you look at stuff today, they're bullier than a lot of the pocket dogs of today.
Yeah, Bodega,
you know,
was
I mean, I had some big bully girls, and I don't mean big size. I mean, like, you know, Paddington and Rage, those were the older girls. The next generation that came, man, you would walk here and people, it's just the thing is like, I was never a videographer. I never want to take pictures, and not every dog carried on into the next generation. But I always bred for a thick bully girl, and I put pictures up over and over again. Like, I'm using this Razor's Edge as an example. That's Razor's Edge Pit Bull. This is Razor's Edge American Bully. And somehow that whole generation, when that debate comes up, gets lost. The American Bully didn't start with Cairo and Knuckles, Rage, and Paddington and those dogs. The American Bully started from row on. You know, and that's when Razor's Edge was calling the dogs the American Bully. It does not mean that those dogs from row on were bulldog crosses. No, they were American Bullies. We bred heavier, thicker, shorter dogs. That's what we bred for. So that misconception is crazy. Never once in a million years would I ever fake papers on my dogs. I owned all my own dogs. So back when they were accusing those kind of things, it didn't even make sense. It was like, this one's really out of this one and not this one. And it's like, it didn't even make sense because half the time it would be out of a dog, and the more popular dog was the one that they were saying it was out of. Like, why wouldn't I have used the more popular dog? It would have been worth more, you know. Later on, mixing the bulldog and stuff. It's like, no, there's never been, I created the American Bully along with other people. We created the name. If we decided to change the breed and we decided to add other things to the breed through my hands, then what purpose would we even have in lying about it? So these are really dumb things that people say because they don't really understand the process. American Bully was created from two bloodlines, Razor's Edge and Gotti. We remained separate many years. Gotti's a very different look. People always want me to tell this, tell that. Gotti's not my story. It's not my history. It's not my dog. I cannot tell you the Gotti story. Go to Richard Barajas to learn the Gotti story. Dave Wilson tells you the Razor's Edge story, and now the American Bully story. So you got that, then you have Razor's Edge American Bully. Those were some thick dogs, pure dogs. I didn't use another breed in them. I continued to do selective breeding, and that's what we were for many years. I got to a point to where I achieved what I wanted. I, as a breeder, was done. I still do hobby things, and I backed up. The American Bully now, as a whole, at some point in time, finally started to be a blend of Gotti and Edge, and it took on a new look. So you can't look at the American Bully of today and say, well, y'all changed y'all. No, it took on a blended look of different things, and Gotti had a very different look. Those dogs looked a lot different than Razor's Edge. We came from two diverse backgrounds to make one breed. So eventually, those things are going to combine. The direction that line went with Dax and those dogs is different than the direction Razor's Edge went with Rizzy, Rowan, those dogs, Moonshine, and further generations. But at some point in time, on the back end, people beyond us blended all those things together, and you have the final product of what the American Bully is. And I love the people that say they love Razor's Edge. I love Razor's Edge. I do. And I love Razor's Edge Pit Bulls. I love Razor's Edge American Bullies. However, we're also at a generation where a lot of these dogs, we ran out of outcrossing because this is our gene pool of what we have. We're not bringing in a lot of new things. So you're going to have people blending all this stuff together. Whether the accusations of people use this or that, I understand that. But this is where our breed is now. Mm-hmm. And that's what it is now. That's why we tighten our guidelines. That's why you see us turning certain things away from different ends now and trying to focus on what we have, So you got all these different things. Now we got a generation here where my generation of Razor's Edge is done. As me being the Razor's Edge American Bully breeder, Pit Bull breeder first, done. Razor's Edge American Bully breeder, done. I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. Other people can carry that on now. And a lot of them do, and a lot of them went a different direction than me. They went backwards as far as the substance into more of a classic dog. Fine, that's their prerogative. I never really bred classic dog because I was always trying to get further. I was always pushing the boundaries, but without going over the line. I always wanted functional dogs, and I don't like going over the line. So now I really don't have much in dogs. My life it's not fair to have many dogs in my life, so I don't want to be that. I don't want to be a breeder. Breeding for me, it's a hobby. Demon comes along, and I see a dog, and I'm looking at the dog like, man, that's a nice dog. And it's got predominant Razor's Edge lines. I mean, it's got, Dax in there, obviously, through the Magoo side. And it's a dog that come from my yard as the mother, So it's a dog that's got a blend of things. And I look at the dog, that's a good looking dog. That's an American Bully. It's not necessarily a pure Razor's Edge dog. No, it's a pure American Bully. It came from the dogs that created this breed. I also want to own an American Bully. I represent the American Bully, so why shouldn't I own an American Bully? Why do I only own Razor's Edge? It doesn't make sense. I love it, respect it, still want some, but I also do like the fact that this became a blended breed of the different bloodlines. And that's what it is. My line's in it. So I'm proud of it, And when I looked at Demon, I thought, this is a good dog that I could take around and show people good representation. Like, what? This is an American Bully here with blended lines. It's got Edge, it's got Gotti. It's a blend of different lines, and it's a good dog. And it's got these exaggerated features. It's got the things that people like when they were drawn to Dax. There's things about Dax people do like. Things about Dax that people aren't going to like. He's a dog like any other dog. There's positives and negatives. So anyway, to wrap up with Demon Boy, I just thought he was a good representation because he had a lot of the Razor's Edge traits that came from the mom that I really liked, and some from the dad that I really liked. And I thought, this is nice because he's carrying a lot of the good traits without the bad traits. And my feeling is we can put a dog out here and show people, hey, you can have these exaggerations and these things that really draw you, those what they call wow factor things that people refer to, but still have a functional, strong dog. And if you see Demon, Demon's strong, man. Demon is a beast, for real. He's a strong dog with a lot of drive. He can work, he can run, he's muscled up, he's got bone for days, but he's still correct. There's a few little things that I would tweak with a dog, but I'll tweak something almost with every dog. There's no perfection. But he's a good-looking, healthy, strong, hardy dog that you can stack up next to all these dogs. You can stack them up every which direction you want to stack him up, and he's going to look good out there, So I just thought he's a good representation to show people, hey, you can do these things and have it all in one package without having to have the incorrect things, the bad things, And that's all it really was with Demon. People run all over the place with all these other things with it, and it's like, it's ridiculous, And that's why I stopped even having him here in my hands and let him go to William out there in Scotland and let people out there see him, because, to be honest with you, the dog was for a purpose, and the purpose wasn't me. So I figured, okay, well, let's move the dog somewhere now, let him be for his purpose, remove my name from it then, That way the dog can do what he's supposed to do and shine the way he should shine. It's a good-looking dog, He's a well-built, good functional dog. And if you want to see an American Bully and think, well, what could American Bully be when you blend Edge and Gotti and these things together and get it right? There you go. There's an example right there for you.
Now, will people ever get a chance to see him in the U.S.? Maybe
Yeah, I got to bring him back. I to be quite honest with you, I haven't had a chance to go over there and do anything. I mean, the thing is, Demon lives with William. William has and his wife and a little daughter, and he's also their pet. Beyond everything is, he's part of their family now. So I'm not going to take a dog away from a little girl now and take a dog out of its family element that they've grown attached to. He's grown attached to. William does phenomenal things with him out there. So Demon will visit America so people can see what he looks like. But he needs to stay with his family. Now he has a family, and that's not right to do anything beyond that, you know. But yeah, he will visit America.
Okay. I really appreciate your time today on Bully Talk with Zed Pitts, man. Just giving your insight on what's really going on with the ABKC, your thoughts on the whole controversy with the exotic shirts from Terrell. Hey, let me ask you, man, while we wrapping it up, man, because I had talked to Terrell about it, so I was just asked, man, will he ever get that? You think he'll get that call one day to maybe fill out an application to be a judge with ABKC? You know, I gotta ask you, man, because you're one of the original members of the Elite Edge, man.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself judging for the ABKC one day? Would you like that call?
You know, it's funny you talked about that because, of course, Dave is always considered. Me and Dave are super tight friends, and it could happen. You know, it could very well happen. But, you know, I think that they got to be sort of ready for me and do things because he know I'm super strict. So I think when the platform presents itself that the ABKC,
the time is right.
Yeah, when the ABKC want an enforcer type of judge, I would love to because really overall it's all about the dogs, you know.
You know, it's interesting because I can see that happening because, you know, right now they revamping a lot what's going on with the judge, and he actually talked about that.
Yeah, and contrary to popular belief, everybody always think like that we're at ends with each other. I'm still friends with everybody at the ABKC, so it could definitely happen.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. I'm looking forward to seeing that, man. I actually would like to see that, man. To see that happening, man, because you hold no cut cards, man.
Oh, no. It'll be a good dog to win.
Oh, man, we out here at the ABKC Nationals, man. Much love to the D-line movement, man.
Hey, much love to you. I remember from the start, I said it once before, don't nobody represent the American bully community or the bully community, period. Like my man Sam, y'all keep following his channel. Y'all keep buying whatever you got out there. Follow him. The dude is about positivity, and he's all about the breed. That's my brother. I love you, brother.
Well, the first thing is I don't oversee that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm out of the loop on that one. I don't have to worry about people. I mean, Terrell's been around the breed a long time. He's been in the breed a long time. On a friendship level, we respect each other. We're friends. We always talk to each other. So as far as that, and I mean, it just depends on what you're willing to do and who you're willing to be. I mean, the history is there. But again, you got to go through the training. You got to go through all the new things, you know. And then you got to realize that once you step into that position, you know, you're in a different role. So it's not a question for me; it's a question for him.
For him.
Yeah. And that's just what it is. And I do want to say, you know, I do appreciate everything you do, man. Bully Talk, Zeb, everything you ever done. I mean, it's something that our community needs. It's something that you do on your own time. A lot of people think that we all get rich off these things we do, and they don't realize that a lot of this is passion. A lot of this costs us money. A lot of these are things, you know, so. And
I've heard that too. I've got rich off
like, man,
what? Off this?
You drove down here to see me today. That's gas. You're going to be stuck in traffic on the way back. I don't see, you know, you're not running with a whole lot of sponsorships and things that are bringing in an influx of a lot of money. So, but me personally, I know that this is your passion. So, I mean, at some point, yeah, you want to get to where things are profitable in life because that helps life. But I know this is your passion, man, and I'm honored that you do this too, you know, because you're bringing awareness to our community, and especially when it's positive things, and it's great. And so if people don't understand who you are, I do, because this is a passion thing. Nobody paid for you to come to Nationals. Nobody paid for you to do any of those things. You did that on your own time and your own dime, and you brought it to the public. So people should be really appreciative of that. You're bringing things to their light that maybe they can't see, and you're doing it on your own time and your own dime. So much love and respect for that, man. As far as the bully community, you know, end it the way I always end it. You know, like, we got to stop. At some point, we got to just say, you know what, if you don't agree, then don't agree. If you like this thing better, go do that thing. You know, if you like this better, go do that. If this is where you feel more comfortable, go do that. Fine. But let's not tear each other down in the process of it. You know, let's at least have the respect for us as people, for us having similar interests, and for dogs. You know, at least have that. Because if we don't have that, we're going to kill it. You know, and that's just what it is. I myself have been victim sometimes to having backlash, and I got to check my own self. You know, like, hey, you can't do that. You know, this is bigger than Dave Wilson. It's bigger than all of us, and it really is. I mean, it's something that brought us all together, so it shouldn't separate us, you know? And if you're not happy with one little thing, then you know what? There's a million other things you can do. You don't need to be negative about it. So, you know, let's try to keep this back, get it back positive, get it back to where it's fun. And if it's not fun, that's not for you. And go do something that was more fun for you, you know? And that's that simple. But we're going to continue to do what we do. We're going to continue to be positive. We're going to continue to really bring light to these breeds, educate our judges on these breeds, educate the community on these breeds, and give a great platform for all these breeds. And if it's not for you, hey, but we're going to continue to do it, and we're going to continue to progress with it, you know? So I feel like it's a great thing for people, for dogs, and I do it for passion. So, and anybody questions why I do it for passion, Zeb will tell you. I left work to come here, and I'm about to head back to work now.
About to head back now?
Yeah, so.
All right, man.
It's passion. But
Thanks for your time. Bully Talk with Zeb Pitts, and we out.